Hello and welcome back to Northwestern Models, and today I'm going to show you how to put together the N-Gauge 1970s Caravan kit from Three Peaks Models. So let's get started. Right, so let's have a look at this N-Gauge Caravan kit then. Let's see what we've got in the pack, and I'm hoping it's going to be a similar kit to the 00 gauge one which I did a few weeks ago, which had a few little fiddly bits in it, but wasn't too bad. So let's have a look at what we have. Right, so the instructions are very similar, and there they are. We do have pretty much all the bits that we need to do, pretty much the same as the 00 gauge version. Now, if you wanted to, with the actual Caravan body itself, you can get some clear plastic glazing and put that inside. There's a nice hole in the bottom, you can see there, where you can access it. So if you want to put curtains and so on in, or even an interior, you could put them in there. And then there is a floor piece which goes in as well. So you'd want to do that first before you start sticking everything together. It is a shame that they don't come with some glazing, but anything off a plastic kit of some sort, if it comes in a plastic packet rather than a bag, that sort of glazing would probably be absolutely fine to stick on in there. So when it comes to putting this together, and it is, as I said, very similar to the 001, it's just shrunk in size. First thing we need to do is, where the various bits go together on this, we need to just clean up the area and just rough it up, because these are 3D printed, so the plastic's very shiny, and as such it makes it a little bit difficult for components to stick together. Or not, it's not very difficult, but it makes it a bit more awkward. So if we rough it up, it gives the glue a bit of a key to stick to, which makes life easier, which is what we want. We want life to be easy. So just going through and doing that. Now the N-Gauge wheels for the Caravan, hopefully you can see there, are on a little sprue all of their own, so they will need to be removed from there. But whilst they are together as a format, that is probably the time to give them a quick rough up on the back side of them prior to gluing them on, because they are very small, and we don't want it. Just makes it a bit easier. So they're roughed up. I have to do 4 piece. Right, now then, glue wise, it's recommended that any sort of super glue will do the job. So as such, I'm going to use the Deluxe Materials Rocket Rapid Glue. I've used it on loads of plastic kits. It's really useful, really good, and you do get a bit of time to manoeuvre things around a little bit. So I'm going to need some little pliers. Possibly I might want my tweezers to hold some of these wheels, but let's cut one out at a time prior to sticking them on, just because that way we've got less chance of losing them. So work that out. It's just there. So I'm going to put the glue onto the larger components, because that's just easier, and then fix the smaller ones to it. So let's start with the wheels. Don't need a lot of glue on there, because these are obviously quite small. So pop them in place and just move them in. place like so, and then just work our way around and do the others. That one then. As you can see, the craft knife has just gone through the little sprue with no real problems, so not a lot of pressure on it, it's just got through quite easily. So you don't need to worry about getting a lot of pressure on there and breaking bits and pieces on it. Yeah, so there we are. So that's the two main wheels on. Now we just need to do a little jockey wheel. Just line it up a bit better. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so on the chassis, you might be able to see there is actually a little axle which goes across, which is what you need to try and line the back two wheels up with, just so it's equal across the chassis. So let's cut the last one off the sprue. Out of the way. Right. Obviously, with pretty much any N-gauge kits, a lot of the parts are very, very small, so it is always worthwhile if you haven't got any little pliers and cutters of that kind of size, then it is always worthwhile probably getting yourself a set. Even if you're doing double O kits, they come in very, very useful. I've had those for a good number of years. They've always been very, very useful. So I'm going to leave the chassis with the wheels to dry now. I'm not going to be fitting an interior into this one because this is going to be used as a display model for when I'm out at exhibitions. Obviously I'll get some better photos to go on the website of it once it's completed. So I can explain to people on the day that it doesn't come with any glazing or curtains or anything interior that can go in it, but if you wanted to, you can do, because we've got this removable floor which slots in quite happily. Grab my little pliers again. There is a little handle on there, so you can see that it grabs it, and it should slot in fairly easily and come in and form the floor like so. So I'm now going to glue the floor in on mine, because like I said, I need to make this up to show people what is actually included in the kit, so they've got a bit of an idea of it, of what else they may need to get for it. Like that. And pull it to, there we go. So that will hold the floor on there quite nicely. Just fine. And now we can just rough up the top of the chassis very gently, because it's obviously very fine and a little bit fiddly, so I don't want to damage it. So I found with the double O kit, it was easier for me to put the chassis onto the Caravan. Now we need to make sure we get the Caravan the right way round on the chassis, and the end with the big long bay window across the front goes at the end where the chassis has a little pulling triangle at this end, so it lines up there. So that's one thing to make sure that you do try and get the right way around. So to because you'll notice, or you'll be able to see properly when you put your kit together, that it's actually quite a good fit for the N-Gage one. The 001 had a little bit more flexibility around it, but the N-Gage one fits on there quite well. So it should be fairly easy for you to line this up. As you can see, I've just done a dry run to see where it lands, so I know where I'm going to need to put some glue. Don't need a lot, just enough to grab it. And very carefully, and just be fairly quick, but take your time as well. Get it on there and line it up as best as you can, and it should be okay. So let's let that dry off for a minute. So when it comes to painting, Three Peaks recommend that you give it a coat of a spray type primer, and then obviously you can paint it pretty much any colour that you want with acrylics or enamel paints or whatever you want to use. The chassis is going to be black. Bodywork wise, it's probably going to be some sort of beige, white, creamy colour. You might have like some green lining on it or something like that, or some different colours on there. Be fairly muted colours. The roof would probably be white. Some of the fittings on the roof might be black, or again there might be a slightly different shade of white. It's entirely up to you. The window frames would probably either be body colour or they'll be an aluminium-y silvery colour. But if in doubt, have a look at photographs and see what sort of colour schemes they had at that time to put that they had on Caravan, so you get something that's a little bit more accurate. But there we go, that's how to put together that lovely little 1970s static Caravan. So there we are, that's how to put together that lovely little N-Gage static Caravan kit. Pretty simple kit, just take your time with some of the bits because they are a little bit fiddly, and it's N-Gage, of course it's going to be fiddly. So yeah, it's nice and easy, nice and simple. Obviously just now it needs a little coat of paint and sorting out onto the layout, ready to go. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, do remember to give us a good old thumbs up. Also make sure that you hit that subscribe button that's below, and until next time, happy modelling.